All right, welcome to Ultimate Tic Tac Toe. Let's go over a little example of how to play, as the directions can be a little confusing when you read them, but as soon as you see Tic Tac Toe, Ultimate Tic Tac Toe in action, you're going to be ready to play. First of all, you'll notice that there is a large Tic Tac Toe board with small ones inside of each board. You are actually playing 9 games of Tic Tac Toe, 9 mini games, but using the larger board to help the smaller board and the larger board to win. So let's go ahead and get started. As with most Tic Tac Toe, we tend to start in the middle, and I'm going to go ahead and mark my spot. In the small board, I have chosen the middle square. Because I chose the middle square, my opponent must play in the middle square of the larger tic-tac-toe. So my opponent can choose any empty place here, and they're going to try to block me from making a diagonal tic-tac-toe here. Well, now because my opponent has played in the top left corner, I must move to the top left corner of the board to make my play. So as I'm looking here, no one has played here. So I am going to be looking at where I might want my opponent to go. If I choose, again, my strategy of putting my X in the middle, because that does give us the opportunity, one of the best opportunities for tic-tac-toe, because it's the middle, this middle square will send my opponent back to the middle board and give them the next move in making a tic-tac-toe. So I have to think about some strategy here. So let's say I do want to keep it in the middle. So now the small tic-tac-toe board space determines which square you're going to. So now my opponent's going to come back here, and they are on their way to a mini tic-tac-toe. So they are going to play here. Now, because my opponent played in the middle left box of the tiny tic-tac-toe, it means I must go to the middle left box to take my turn. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Take just a moment and think about if I chose to use this strategy right here. Where would my opponent go? Aha, my opponent would have to go right here in the middle, because the location of your marking in the small box determines where they go. And if my opponent goes here, they're going to make an O, and they will win that box, meaning that this whole box is now marked O on the larger board. So I'm going to have to make some very careful choices about where I might want my opponent to play. So with Ultimate Tic-Tac-Toe, you have to be thinking not just about your marks, but where you're sending your opponent on the next turn. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that I was so excited to be first one here. I want the middle box, and I go ahead and mark the middle box, because that could happen. My opponent then comes back to the middle section, and they mark here. This means that they now have a tic-tac-toe in the middle box. And on the larger game board, this whole box now belongs to O. So when you're thinking about making a big tic-tac-toe, they now own this box or have it. Since O played right here at the bottom left, then I would go to the bottom left for my next turn. So let's say that I am trying to play my best odds again by marking the middle, okay? Now, because this comes up with a certain situation that will come up while you are playing. And someone's going to mark this box no matter what, whether you're the first or the second or the fifth move on that box. So now that I've marked the middle in this particular one, it means that my opponent is supposed to go back here to the middle box, because the little box determines what big box you play in. This box has already been won. Because this box is already won, there is no place else to play. It is not available, and it has already been won by O. This means my opponent gets to pick any place that they want to go to play. They can pick any square, because this box is taken, they get to pick. And this is where your strategy comes in. Does O want to go to a new box and select the middle, then sending me back to a full box where I get to choose anywhere I want to go? Does O want to strategically go back to a box they've already been to and try to mark a spot? For instance, maybe up here. And they mark the top left, keeping me in this box and forcing me to make a move here in this section. And this is where the strategy really comes in. So you're going to have to think ahead for your opponent and yourself and where you're sending them. In order to get a tic-tac-toe, you would have 3 large boxes that you have won in a diagonal, up and down, or horizontal in order to make a tic-tac-toe. So you're actually playing 10 games of tic-tac-toe with 9 mini games, but the larger win for the big win on the big tac-toe board comes from strategy. All right, good luck. And we hope you enjoy Ultimate Tic-Tac-Toe.